Hello, and welcome back to the Tea and Soju C Drama Podcast, your safe spot for C drama chatter. I'm your host, Liliana, and it's time to sit back, grab your tea, and let's chat Asian dramas. In today's episode, I'm joined by a very special guest, Caitlin. I will hand it to her in just a second, but she's the perfect guest because we are talking about crime thriller dramas. So that's what the episode's going to be about. And just some housekeeping before we get into the episode. If you like the podcast, please like, share, and subscribe on the platform you listen to. That really helps the podcast reach other listeners. For more content, check out Patreon, where you can find behind the scenes, first impressions, movie reviews, and more. Finally, if you would like to chat to me or find a community, check out Discord, Instagram, and other socials. The link is in the episode notes. So, Caitlin has joined me today. She is 1/3 of the drama trio. Jess is not with us today, so it's only the two of us. But go ahead and say hello, Caitlin.
Hello, everybody. My name's Caitlin.
So, I wanted to do the genre special and I wanted to go back to the genre series. And when I thought about crime thriller, I thought there would be nobody better than Caitlin for this because, as we all know, she's a lover and an expert of this genre. It's one of her favorites.
Well, I wouldn't
Um,
say expert, but thank you.
well, I think out of all the people that I know, you are definitely an expert. Like every time I think about like a crime drama, I'm like, Caitlin's probably watched this. So I do. So, Caitlin, just a couple of questions. Is crime thriller something you've always watched? Like, is it something you've always gravitated towards?
Yeah. I mean, I know I've said this in like other episodes that we've done together. I before I got in, like really got into Asian dramas, I was watching American shows and British shows. And yeah, for the most part, I was watching all the crime dramas. Mostly like my parents and I would sit down to dinner in front of the TV and we'd turn on like Bones. And then we'd
I
eat.
loved
Well,
Bones.
yeah, we'd always be eating during like the autopsy scenes or whatever. So yeah, no, I pretty much grew up watching crime shows. Yeah. And then reading them too. Like crime was
Mm.
my genre I read as well. So yeah, I always gravitated towards that.
See, I've never really read any crime thriller books, I don't think.
Mm.
Um, but I used to watch a lot when I was watching like Western shows, all the classics, NCSI, CSI Miami, all of those Bones, like you said, I loved watching that show. So
Mm-hmm.
Castle,
Mm-hmm.
I used to really like Castle.
Castle was
So
great.
Castle was so good.
Yeah.
So I really, really did like that one. But then actually, when I made the jump over to Asian dramas, for the longest time, I didn't really watch any like crime dramas at all. And I'm like, I don't know why. But I guess it's just like for me, it's one of those genres that I enjoy, but I have to be in a mood for it. And then like I dip in and out of just whenever I feel like a crime show. So
Mm-hmm.
next up, what do you enjoy about like the crime genre in general?
Um, well, I think because I've been watching it for so long and then also my back, I went to school for it too.
Mm-hmm.
I like playing along. So I like guessing and I like trying to figure out the crime before they do. Because like a well-written crime show, you cannot guess in episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
Mm-hmm.
really well written. You can play along, you get surprised. I mean, the longer you watch them, you're less and less surprised because there's obviously tropes and everything, but um I play along. That's what I love doing is I like playing along. I also enjoy watching actors who have never done a crime series before or have never been a villain take on that role of being a villain and then doing it really well. And then when they're known for being like a romantic lead and all of a sudden being a serial killer, that's something I enjoy. seeing.
I I love when that happens because
Mhm.
that really truly shows how good of a potential an actor has if they can dabble into like
Right.
a good old rom-com and a crime show. It's like, that actor will have, you know, what's the word? Range. That's the word I'm looking for. And I always appreciate actors that do have that. I think it distinguishes a good actor from like a great actor. In this case, anyways. So
Right. Right.
let's talk about. So I did some Googling because I was like, how do you even? I think there's definitely certain beats to like the crime genre in general. And I did some Googling, and Google now, this is probably really old, but mine is now set up this way where it comes with like Gemini. So it like summarizes a lot of stuff for you at the top of the page and whatnot. So this is what it says. The crime thriller genre is a combination of the crime and thriller genres and is characterized by suspense and a focus on criminals rather than law enforcement. Crime thrillers often explore themes of good versus evil and the fear of future crime. So that's like resumed, like I said, by Google Gemini, but it comes off Wikipedia. Um, so, that's what they say normally that a crime thriller is. And I
Hmm.
think I would probably agree with that to a certain extent. I think it is more focused on this like cat and mouse chase of sorts. Not all the time. I mean, things can dabble in various genres, and sometimes some dramas can be a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a little bit of something else. So,
Hmm.
but I think overall that works, pretty
It
well.
also depends on the country too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like China would never focus on the criminal.
Oh no, no.
Yeah, because it's
China
like
would be
it's
like,
propaganda. You need to have the
yeah,
cops win all the time. Like that would
yeah,
never
yeah, yeah.
happen.
See, I think that's something that Korea, for example, when it comes to crime shows, I think Korea does very well in showing
Yeah.
like the criminal and in giving them a story and a proper background. Whereas with Chinese shows, it's like you might feel sorry for the criminal at some point. I'm thinking of like a
Right.
couple of specific ones that you might feel sorry for the criminal, but the police will always win. Like there is
Right.
no way that the police won't win. So that is something that is very, very typical in Chinese crime dramas. And yes, some of the time you want the police to win, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes you kind of
Right.
want to see something a little bit different. That due to censorship and how things work in China for television, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
so they have basically just some common elements of crime thrillers include a focus on criminals. Crime thrillers often focus on the criminals themselves rather than the law enforcement. Like we just discussed, that is very dependent on the country. Conspiracies. Crime thrillers often explore conspiracies and psychopathology of criminals. I will agree with that actually, because they do tend to like go into the background of and that happens even in Chinese dramas. They do tend to explain to you why. They are very keen to tell you why the person is the way that it is in
Hmm.
a sense. Violence. I mean, crime thrillers can
Right.
be violent. I mean, I don't think a crime thriller
Yeah.
without violence is not necessarily
Hmm.
something that's very common. It can, because you could just be playing a game of minds in a sense, but I
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
how far you can go with that in the
It
genre.
depends on the type of thriller
Mm,
because you have conspiracy thrillers or political
yeah.
thrillers and where that like might not necessarily have violence in it because it's about corruption. Like there's a difference between like violent crime thrillers
Hmm.
and like
Hmm.
corruption crime thrillers. So, I mean,
Hmm.
even within the genre, depending on the subject matter, it like there's definitely ones that are more violent than others.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I think like it's you have like the umbrella term crime
yeah,
thriller, and then you have like all the like little subgenres of it that is, what the dramas will dip in and out of. So
right.
I think that's definitely. And then themes. Crime thrillers often explore themes of betrayal, ambition, corruption, and mistaken identity. I think that's fairly, forward. And then just lastly, master antagonists. Crime thrillers often feature a master antagonist who is clever, powerful, and intent on causing devastation or annihilation. I mean, normally there is, not all the time. Again, these are overall arching themes, but they don't necessarily apply to every single crime thriller genre, drama out there. But that is fairly reasonable. There tends to be a, mastermind behind it all. That is kind of
Hmm.
like pulling at other people's strings. So, I would agree with that. So, for this episode, what are we going to do is Caitlin and I have come up with a list, and I didn't say this to Caitlin, but they don't have to be in order of preference. They're just, five dramas. So each of us are just going to talk about five of, you know, crime thrillers that we've watched and we really enjoyed, and we want to put it down on on this episode. I'm gonna go first. And the thing is, I do have backups. I have honorable mentions,
I
but
also
I
have
went
backups.
that's fine. We can like even if we don't use them straight away, I thought we could, we at the end we'll just go through some honorable mentions. And the way that I did this was I went in and I thought about because like I don't have a very vast list of crime thrillers, but I do have a few. But a lot of the ones that I watched are like the more popular ones. So I wanted to go in and look at my list and look at ones that I think maybe people might have heard of but haven't watched and, go down that route. Now, the first one on this list, I hope you don't have on your list, but it does come from one of your suggestions. You might have it on your list as well. And that is the Chinese drama A Murderous Affair in Horizon Tower. Now, Caitlin suggested this drama to me, and I freaking loved it. It's definitely become like one of my favorite drama, in this crime thriller, um, genre. So what is it? It's a 2020 Chinese drama. It aired on Tencent or WeTV, whichever, depending on your location. And it's only 16 episodes. This is the thing, though, I will say for Chinese dramas, when it comes to like crime thriller, they tend to keep them much what's the word I'm looking for, much shorter. They tend to be like 20 episodes or less, or even so, even if they're slightly longer, they tend to be, no more than 20 foot, which I love. I love that it keeps the story concise and well written. So I think I talked about this one, but basically the story is that there is a murder that happens in Horizon Tower. And obviously police are called in to investigate, and there's a bunch of people involved. And the thing is, I can't tell you much more than that because with
Yep.
this one, with this one, if I tell you much more than that, I'm gonna be spoiling it. And this is what Caitlin said to me. Caitlin was like, I can't explain much more than what, that there's a murder that happens in an apartment complex and lots of people are involved. And that's like the point of it. You don't look up anything. If you want to watch this one, don't look up anything. Just go in blind because it's so worth it. I kind of did not expect where the story was going, but I loved it. It kept me on the edge of my seat every single episode. And I will say, so the way that this drama is set up is really, really interesting because so the crime happens, and I'm hoping I'm not spoiling too much, but there's obviously a bunch of suspects. And the way it's set up is that every episode or every two episodes, the show focuses on a different suspect and they kind of tell you, that suspect's story. And, they're giving you clues here and there to piece together what kind of happened that night. And I loved it because it kept the story so fresh because every single, episode or every single 2 episodes or whatever, we came back and we focused on somebody new. And I was like, this is very exciting. So I loved it. The acting in this is really, really good. It stars Yang Zishan as Yang Rusen. She's one of the police officers that investigates it. It stars Gu Tao as Zong Jing Gu, and he's the other police officer. So it's a duo that investigates this. And then, a bunch of other characters. We have Angel Baby, who plays the I don't think that's a spoiler because that's the plot, but she plays the victim. so,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
overall, and then there's a bunch more characters for this show. But honestly, I adored this drama. I binged it really quickly. Like I said, it's really an easy watch. I could not guess where it was going. When it started, I did not see the end coming at all, but I was
No, you
like,
don't. You don't.
but it works so well. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
once it gets there, you kind of think, oh my God, they did probably put in some clues, but it's
Mm-hmm.
the type of drama that until you have the whole picture laid out for you, you kind of can't almost piece it together. So yeah, I loved it. So that's why this one's my first one. And like I said, Caitlin did um suggest this one for me, and I'm glad she did because I ended up really, really enjoying it. So that's why that one's my first one. What about yours? What's your first one?
Um, well, yes, that was on my list, but I knew you were gonna pick it, so I kind of didn't put it on my list. Like it was like
Oh,
in an
that's
honorable mention or whatever. Um, so the first one I chose was one from this year, which I don't think a lot of people watched and was
Mhm.
surprisingly good in my mind, and that is the Korean drama Connection. And it is a like the premise of this makes it sound nuts and crazy and like you wouldn't understand how this would work.
Mhm.
um so it's about a detective who works on the narcotics unit. He one day is like forcibly given drugs and becomes addicted to them,
Oh.
and it's like this brand new drug that like no one knows anything about that kind of has just shown up in Korea, and it's like killing people and like being it's extremely addictive even after the first time. So it's him trying to like hide the fact that he's extremely addicted to these drugs while on the
Mhm.
drug unit investigating the drug that made him addicted,
Oh my God.
all while trying to like find who actually made him addicted to this stuff. And like there's like murder and conspiracy involved, like if the cops were involved and things like that. um and then he teams up with this reporter who is also investigating it as like a story, and they kind of work
Mhm.
together to try to figure it out. So you have a bunch of like it's anxiety filled. Like I didn't realize like how much anxiety I would have watching this drama because like
Mhm.
there's so many times where he's like in situations where like how the hell is he going to get out of this, cuz he's like having withdrawal symptoms in the middle of the police station, and there's
Yeah.
like his boss is right next door and like
Oh,
he's like
but
on the
yeah.
floor or something.
Oh,
Like it's ridiculous. And then just like the twists and turns with this on like all the reveals and like what the actual motivation was of who actually did this to them, and like there's like betrayal and corruption and all this stuff. Like it was done so well and like so unexpectedly well, because when you watch the
mhm.
trailer for this it's like how is this gonna work, especially knowing like Korea's stand like laws on drugs.
Yes.
Like how is it, like it was surprising when this was even announced of like
Mhm.
you are actually letting a drama show where somebody's like actively addicted to this highly addictive drug and he's a
Mhm.
cop. Like how is that even allowed to be aired. So but yeah, so this was definitely like a surprise hit for me when it came to crime Korean dramas this year. And I not a lot of people watched it. I think it was like one me and like one other person on social media who was watching this for various reasons. Like I know crime genre in general is not people's cup of tea, but some people didn't like some of the cast members. Some people didn't think it would work in terms of like a drug, as I said, like a drug addicted cop. Like, how the heck
Hmm.
it sounds nuts. No one's going to watch that. So well executed, so well. And I think part of the reason it was acted so well. So it's like a stacked cast basically. But so you had Ji Sung, who was the cop. He like I have not seen him in like every single one of his dramas, but like I think in my opinion, this is his best acted role. Like,
Really
yes, it's just like he did it so well, like so much more than
interesting.
I anticipated.
Hmm.
And then we have Jung Mi Do, who is the reporter. People might know her from like Hospital Playlist.
Hmm.
We have Kwan Yul, who's having quite the year this year between this and
He
My
is.
Sweet Lobster. And then we have Kim Kyung Nam, who is like a support role, but like it not in the way that I thought he would be. And then we have a bunch of supporting characters between Jung Yoo Min, who was in the marriage one from last year,
Hmm.
my
Hmm.
perfect marriage, Jung Soo Won, Yu Na Mu, like a bunch of like supporting people,
Yeah.
all like intertwined in this whole thing. And it goes back to like yeah, I'm trying not to give anything away, but like the storylines and how they're interwoven and how they like come together is just like I can't believe it. Like they thought of this and like connected it.
I have
So
already added it to my list because that
yeah,
sounds very interesting. So I definitely
I
will
would
check this one out.
I would say I don't know. I would say it's not a bingeable drama because it's so
Mm.
anxiety inducing,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
but at the same time, I can see binging it as well because it has a
yeah.
lot of
Hmm.
cliffhangers every episode. So it really depends on the person watching it.
Yeah.
I was
And it's
glad
only
I was watching it as it aired because I don't think I could binge this one.
Yeah, and it's only 14 episodes as well, so it
Yeah.
is shorter
Hmm.
than normal. So
Yeah.
I've added it to my list, and I don't
And
mind
it's
having
60-minute episodes. It's not like hour and a half
yeah,
episodes. So yeah.
yeah, 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 because I can't be dealing with long episodes.
Mm-mm.
So,
Mm-mm.
but this actually, even if it isn't a bingeable one, I don't mind having like a crime show where I watch like an episode a week and I go in, watch that episode, come back, even if it's a completed drama. So,
Yeah.
that does sound quite good. So
It's
that
on
is,
Vicky.
it is on Vicky and Cocoa,
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
is now also available in in Europe. Cocoa has decided to make the leap. I did not sign up for it. I was like, no, thank you. I will stick with Vicky for the time being. Um, so that's very. I've added that one to my list. So for my second choice, I don't know. I think you've watched this one. I'm pretty sure you've watched all the ones that I'm gonna pick, but we'll see. So this is a 2020 Korean drama, and it's called Memorist. To
Oh
me, I
yeah.
think it's a very underrated drama. I watched this one on air, and I was on the edge of my seat every
Hmm. Hmm.
single week. I was like, "Oh my goodness, this show, it can I don't know where the heck it's going. I don't know how they're going to do this, but it works." So, for the cast, and this is available on so to watch it's available on Viki, WeTV apparently, and iQIYI apparently. I'm guessing it's available in those places in like Asia and stuff because that's not normally available. So not only does this, so for our main roles, we have Yu Sung Ho, who plays Dong Baek, our male lead, and we have the brilliant Lee Se Young, who plays Han Soo Mi, our female lead. So that's kind of like the cast. We have other play as like Ju Song Ha or Yoon Ji On. So we have a bunch of people, and what the story is about. So basically, our male lead has an extraordinary gift. Like he can delve into memories of people he touches. So it's not like he's constantly on. He needs to physically touch the person to like be able to, see their memories. And this kind of like talent makes him really good at being a detective because he can just dive into people's memories and, figure out what's happening in a sense. But realistically speaking, he's very hot headed. He's very kind of like up himself in a sense. So
Yep.
he gets into a lot of trouble. Let's put it that way. And our female lead, she plays a criminal. She has a criminal psychology. So she's a profiler. She's a really, really good profiler, and it's basically them two coming together and solving, a cold case that isn't quite cold because there's stuff happening in the present. And it's kind of like them using their wits and what they're really good at. And at first, they're constantly butting heads and they're constantly going against each other. But as the show progresses, you see them kind of like starting to work really, really well together. Now, I can't remember because, guys, I watched this all the way back in 2020 and I can't remember if they develop a romance or if they don't. I don't think they
I don't think they
do.
do.
I don't
No.
think they do, which worked really well because I really liked their banter. I liked like them playing off each other's strengths and weaknesses. So I honestly think this is a very, very underrated show. I When I was
Mm-hmm.
watching it, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think a lot of people was watching it with me. And again, 2020, this was like I didn't even have the podcast. I didn't have anything like that. I didn't have Discord. I didn't have anything. So when I was watching it, I was like just by my lonesome. And every single week, the episodes would come out and I would run for them. And then I would be
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh my God, I need the next episode right now. So I highly recommend it. It's probably amongst one of my favorites. And I
Yeah.
always think, like, I always say, I truly feel like this one is severely underrated. And again, I didn't really see where it was going, but that's not like it kind of became more clear towards the end. Like the second half becomes more
Mm-hmm.
clear, but I think in the first half you don't really notice where it's kind of going, but it works. And again, I really, really enjoyed it. So that's my second pick, Memorist. What about you, Caitlin?
It was also like unexpectedly dark. Like I
It was
remember,
so dark.
yeah, because the preview was like him being a arrogant asshole and
Hmm.
like bouncing around the police station being like I'm the best,
Yeah.
I can prove anything. And like that's what you get at the beginning, obviously. But like the criminal and the crimes that he did were unexpectedly really dark and very violent. So
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
FYI, people, like this is not for the faint of
For the
heart, in my opinion.
yes, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, definitely not for the faint of heart. But if you have the ability to kind of like watch darker shows with darker themes, this one is
yeah,
definitely a really good one to
right,
pick.
right.
Right. What's on your list for your second choice, Caitlin?
Okay, so I when I made my list, I was trying not to talk about the ones I like already mentioned on your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So like for example, Stranger and Voice, like
Yeah,
we
yeah, yeah.
already know they're like my top crime dramas. So I've tried to pick ones that I might have mentioned maybe, but others I like might have not have mentioned at all.
Yeah.
So the next one that I chose was Stealth Walker. It's a Chinese
Mm-hmm.
drama from 2021. And I really named this for two reasons. One, you get like I wouldn't say it's a full blown romance, but they have chemistry up the wazoo in this drama. And they clearly have feelings for each other by the end of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say they like end up together, but like it was a lot of fun watching them together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so and then also it's just like it's a different genre of crime drama than like the typical serial killer type of thing. So basically, this drama is a Chinese drama from 2021, and it stars Lin Peng and Zheng Yichen. Also stars Li Zifeng, Wang Zigang, among others. So basically, Zheng Yichen plays a cop who, or no, sorry, he does not play the cop. He plays the adopted son of a drug lord,
Mm-hmm.
and Lin Peng is the one who plays the cop. And
Yeah.
she is like, her parents get killed by this drug lord because her father was a cop. And she goes undercover in this drug lord's organization to collect evidence against him. And that's where she meets the adopted son. And they basically band together to like and pretend to like
Mm-hmm.
be in a relationship to obtain this information and stuff, and then all while actually having like falling in love and whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
um
yeah.
as I said, my top reason of this is the chemistry. Like there's just so much chemistry between these two leads. It is like palpable off the screen. Like it's like oozing off the screen. So like it was a lot of fun because as you said in Memorist, like they have a lot of banter at the beginning. Like they hate, like,
Mm-hmm.
especially Lin Peng hates the male lead. Um, and then they like start working together, and she's like this brass, like takes like doesn't take shit type of person who pretends to be this like flirtatious girl and has no idea what she's walking into. Like she thinks she does, but doesn't. So she kind of is like trying to blend in, but also stands out like a sore thumb sometimes because she like says something off the cuff. But
Yeah, yeah.
because she can't really hide the fact that she hates these people because she suspects or she either suspects or knows that one of them killed her family. So like it's a lot of fun trying to see them go through this organization and hide that they're actually trying to find evidence, but also realize like the nuances of their characters. So like the drug lord's son is a lot more than what he seems. And then
Yeah.
she obviously is a cop. So eventually they find out that she's a cop. So like it's an interesting take, but yeah, the main reason why I said this is like their chemistry just works so well together, and that's just so unexpected when it comes to a crime drama.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not expecting it to have. I mean, it's great when it happens because I think it can add a lot of tension to the show as well.
Yeah,
But it's definitely not something that you kind of expect out of the crime genre in general.
right, right.
Um, that sounds really interesting, actually. And like you said, it is different type of crime. It's
Yeah.
available on Youku and Viki, so it's really easily accessible, and it's only
Mhm.
24 episodes. So
Yeah,
like I said, crime shows in China tend to be slightly shorter, which is great because we don't want a
right.
50 episode drama because just
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
don't think it would
Yeah.
work.
And I would
I
say this
mean,
like is still violent, but like not the memorist type of violence. Like it's not as what's the word I'm looking for? Like
it is
in
dark.
Memorist, like it's yeah, it's not as dark. It's not like the killer enjoys doing it. Like
Hmm.
it's more of
Hmm.
like this is a drug killing, they'll mow you down in the road. Like if they
Yeah,
like and they might torture you a bit, but nothing like the Memorist serial killer. Like he enjoyed it and enjoyed doing it and like did it a long time before actually killing his victim. Whereas this person might torture him for information then kill him. Like it's different. Um So it's still like violent because you're dealing with drug lords, but like I would say not as violent as Memorist in general.
Yeah. So that is Stealth Walker. Now, for my next one, I really debated whether I wanted to put this one on the list or not. And it's not because I don't enjoy it. I love this. I just think it's probably one that I talked about, quite a few times, but I was like, I cannot make a crime thriller list and not put this on there. And Caitlin also really likes this one, I know. So that is Under the Skin. Like, I
Mm-hmm,
love
mm-hmm.
Under the Skin. I feel like it's a very, very interesting show in terms of like how they put the story together. And also, we're getting a season two. We're getting a season two. And I'm like, for real though, crime genre episodes or dramas tend to be the only ones that I'm like, I'm not that mad if they do a season two because I
Yeah,
feel like there's story for them to do that,
yeah.
especially when you're dealing with specifically these type of shows where yes, there is an overarching case, but there's like lots of little cases that they're also solving along the way. And that works really well because they can just keep pumping out like different
Mm-hmm.
cases and we don't mind watching that. So
And they've
under
actually
this
said that in like recent years in Korea. Like we've had people who've come out with crime dramas saying we are doing one of these every couple of years. Like expect a season two,
mm-hmm.
expect like Taxi Driver, for example. The
Yes.
people like, yeah, we're gonna make these until people don't watch them. Or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Flex Cop from this year, they already announced they're planning on doing a season two. Or Crash
Mm-hmm.
from this year, they're already announced they're doing a season two. Like I think they've gone into more and more, at least in Korea, they have the mindset of if this crime drama does well, expect a season two within the
Mm-hmm.
next 2 or 3 years because it's an easy, like, as you said, it's an easy because they're procedural. They might add like um the main character's like backstory into the story, but they might
Yeah, yeah.
not. They might like choose one and do that for the entire season, like they did in Crash, where it was one of the main character's main stories that were like the overarching problem, but then they had like little crimes in between. Well, season two, they might concentrate on somebody else, or they might not do that and do a whole season one of just the introduction, and then in season two, they'll delve into like there's so much
Mm-hmm.
combinations you can do
That they could do.
to
Yeah.
yeah, to not make it seem old. And if
Yeah.
people continue watching them, they'll continue making them.
Yeah, yeah. No, I definitely agree. I think there's a lot of combinations and a lot of strings that you can pull at to make it still feel fresh, even if it's, a season two or a season three. So I think it really does work out quite well. So for Under the Skin, it's basically based. There's only so much you can sort of when it comes to crime thrillers, there's only so much you can explain about a drama without
Mm-hmm.
spoiling, and you never like I am a lover, an absolute lover of spoilers. But when it comes to like the crime thriller genre, I don't like them as much because I feel like that's the whole point of a crime thriller is,
Right.
having not knowing where you're going and that sort of situation. So I'm just gonna put this if you haven't watched Under the Skin, I'm just gonna put this very, very lightly. So in base terms, this is a story that follows a cop who is played by Jin Shi Jia. And there is an overarching story. So his partner was killed, and he's kind of like after that situation. And he is, still working at the police station. And there is an overarching plot, but they have like little cases that they're also solving throughout the whole show. So you have that kind of some of them feed back into the overarching plot. So that is, the police cop situation. And then we have Tan Jianxi, who plays Shen Yi, who has a very interesting profession. And I did actually Google this. This is an actual profession in China. So it's very, very interesting. And they did actually shadow some people doing the job to like figure, make sure that they were portraying it properly. And basically what happens is, so he is a artist, but what he can do with his art is, so for example, a simple thing that he can do is he can look at somebody, a picture of somebody as a child, and he can take that picture and kind of like age them to a certain age. And then you have like something to go by, like on a missing persons case, if it's been years, they can kind of go by that. But if it's like a murder victim, for example, and they're kind of beyond recognition, he can kind of draw the person as if they were alive in a sense, so that you have a
Hmm.
picture to go by to make it easier to identify. So that's kind of like his job. And he kind of comes to work at the same station that, the cop, our male lead, the cop is working at. And they kind of they discover that there's something linking them, and they're, solving cases, little cases, but also this overarching case. And I don't think there's a lot more that I can tell you guys because otherwise I will
Right.
be spoiling, and you don't want to do that. But I really, really loved this one. I'm excited for the season 2. It is 20 episodes, so it's a great, lengthwise. And like I said, it made it feel fresh because yes, there was this overarching plot, but you do have those, other cases in between, and some cases were really like difficult to watch. There's one specific one that I remember that was like quite not, I think they just hit you emotionally in a sense because I think people can identify with the cases that's happening. And not all the cases are like murder cases. Some of them are cases that, can be happening at that time. So I really, really enjoyed it. I will definitely be watching season 2 for this one. And this one is also available very easily. It's on Tencent, it's on Viki, it's on iQIYI, it's on, WeTV, all of those places. So it's very, very easy to find. And yeah, I like I said, I've mentioned this one before, but I could not do a list and not put this one on there. So that is Under the Skin season 1. And then hopefully we'll see season 2 at some point as well. Um, so Caitlin, what have you got for your drama 3?
I'm wondering if you have this one on your list, and I don't know if I want to say it or not.
Yeah, I have honorable mentions that I can pull with
Okay.
foresight.
Okay, I'm just gonna say it because I know I've mentioned this, but I kind of like has to be said. So I okay, so the one I put on my list is the Bad Kids.
I don't have it on my list. I don't.
Ah, okay.
Because I haven't watched The Bad Kids. It's
Oh
terrible,
my
I know.
God, you need to. So,
The thing is, people will ask, and that is one of the ones that I will happily recommend without watching because I know people who have watched it
mhm,
and I trust their opinions enough, like you, when it comes to the crime thriller genre, that they say it's one of the best Chinese ones out there. And
mhm,
it's on my list. It's definitely on my list to get through.
yeah. Okay, so this I put on my list one because it's like one of those like so I feel this was a iQIYI production.
Hmm.
And I really think since then, now I haven't watched any of the Light On series from this year or maybe even last year, but I really think iQIYI has tried to replicate the success of this drama since this drama, and it just
Yeah.
has not hit. Um,
So with this one goes hand in hand with The Long Night.
yeah.
In terms of it's either I always forget, but it's either the same writer or the same director that did both of them. And it was when these two aired back in 2020, they aired for like fairly close to each other, and it belongs to like the Light On series, like Caitlin says. And don't, I Chi Light On series is not, I think they really should have renamed it something else, because the
Yeah.
Light On series is like a collection of crime thriller shows.
Hmm.
And basically, like they have other collections, but this one was the heyday of the Light On series. I think there's only
Right.
one other that I think was fairly good, and I think it's called Homesick, which I enjoyed. But they're not as good as, not tooted as good as these ones. And
Yeah.
I think it's because they lost that director. And that
Yeah.
director, I think, went to work for Tencent, which is ridiculous because we haven't seen him do anything else since. Like I said, I can't remember if it's the director or the screenwriter. I might just have to look it up to see. It might be the director for this. Yeah, it's the director. He did is it the long seat? No, that's not it.
Well, the
Uh,
long season's supposed to be a really good drama, but it's
yeah,
not a
it is.
crime
It is, but
drama.
yeah, it's not a crime drama. So I'm guessing, I'm pretty sure, or is it one of the original? I always get it confused. Or is it one of the original people who wrote the shows? I know there's a connection between the two, and I always get confused with what it is. Anytime it
Well, one of the
comes
writers
up.
did Homesick, so
I liked Homesick. I did. But anyways, that's the reason. I just don't think they've gone as good as
mhm.
they were in these days. But Homesick is good. I didn't put Homesick on my list, but I should have. I forgot about it.
Yeah. And
Uh,
also, like, I highly recommend. I was late to the long night. I didn't watch it until this year, which I highly regret now because it's
mm,
one of my favorites. Like, I can see why a lot of people loved it. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think the one of the main reasons is as you said, like, it's just one of the best Chinese crime dramas I've ever seen. But I also put it on this list because it's not the typical serial killer who walks in the night story.
uh,
It's more of
mhm,
like it's a slow paced thriller, except for like the opening scene. I'm not going to spoil anything, but like the opening scene made my jaw drop because I was
mm,
like, oh, that is where we're starting. Okay. Because it's really unexpected. Um, and then you go, so basically, this story is about three kids who at the time were kind of up and coming or like unknowns. They like you did not know them. And now they're kind of famous, especially due to this story. So it's about three kids who unintentionally film a murder, and then they have to like basically escape the murderer. And it's like a slow cat and mouse game where you don't really know what's going to happen. Is he or she going to catch the three kids? Or is it going to catch one of the kids? Like, are they going to report it to the police? Like, it's a really unpredictable from like scene one to the very end of like
mhm,
what's going to happen. And then it also, though, comes into like brings in the family too, because it deals with three children, so obviously their three families get involved and try to figure out what's going on. And
yeah,
then there's a fourth family involved as well, so it's like it's like a crime thriller, but it also is kind of like a family drama at the same time. And it just was like it was so unexpected, when especially that first scene, but also the leads, especially the adult leads. Like this cast in general is very stacked and well, but when this came out, the adult leads, especially the ones who ended up being the bad guys, was for me very unexpected because I had not seen
mm,
them do a crime drama before. So as for the kids, you had Rongzi Shan, who I think now is kind of known for like obviously the bad kids, but you might have known him in like Are You Safe or Sword Snow Stride,
Yeah.
whatever. Um, and then what I really liked, this is where I met Shi Peng Young.
Hmm.
Why the guy, the boy from Meet Yourself that I was obsessed with.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
remember.
him. Yeah. This is where I met him. He's fantastic. And then there's a girl, Wan Shen Di, who you would recognize too. She was in like The Mutations or Heart of Genius, that type of thing. So these three kids were just like, I feel like this drama really pushed them ahead of a lot of the other child
Hmm.
actors. And then you also had Kin Hao in it, who is extremely famous. I love him. He's really, really good. But again, it's one of those things where this was a role I had never seen him do because I always
Yeah.
had saw him in like I've seen him play cops before, but like never in such a dark drama. And it was always like or Lost Tomb. Like he did some of the Lost Tomb series as well. So it was in the same vein that he's always done, but a different role that he's never done.
Hmm.
And then some of the supporting role, Zhang Sun Wen, which I want to say he's Noodle Dad, but I couldn't remember. Maybe not. I don't think so. I might be
But
wrong on
he's
that.
not. No, he's not.
Okay.
He's not Noodle
Well,
Dad.
he's well known. Wan Jin Shun, which I'm sure you'll recognize, Lu Lin, Lu Fensheng, like the supporting cast in general also is really well known, especially when it comes to older actors. And that's the thing I like about crime dramas in general too, is like a lot of the crime dramas you might be typecasted, especially in China. There's a few like actors that like they'll be in a crime drama. Like it's one
Hmm.
of those things. But also crime dramas help in terms of giving jobs to older actors who might not have those same roles or same opportunities than some of the younger popular actors in like the historical romance ones. Um
Yeah.
and so I every time you look at a supporting cast, you'll recognize a ton of them because they've been the moms, the dads,
Hmm.
the I don't
The
know, the
aunts.
kings, the queens, the
Yeah.
aunts, the grandmothers, yeah,
Yeah.
that type
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I put this on the list just one because it's like it is about murder, but it's not like a serial killer. It's more of like a slow burn until it isn't a slow burn. And then
Yeah.
but yeah, but that first scene is like forever engraved in my mind and I just remember being like, wow, that's so unexpected.
I've just realized, see, I knew there was a connection. Both of these were written, so the original novels were written by the same person. So that is
Mm-hmm.
the Jin Chen. So that is the connection between the Bad Kids and the Long Night. I know, see, I know there's a connection, but I always forget what the connection is. And I think that's what the story was. So Aichi bought the rights for these two novel adaptations, but then his other novels were bought by Tencent or something along those lines. Unfortunately, because I feel like Aichi could have done better with them, since they did such a
Mm-hmm.
good job with these two. But yeah, this one is definitely on my list. And again, I never do that. I never recommend anything that I personally haven't watched. But if somebody asks me about this, I will say I personally haven't watched it, but I feel secure enough to suggest it to others because I know people who love the crime thriller genre who have, happily have loved this one. So,
Mm-hmm.
that is the Bad Kids. So, and this one, I think actually for the Bad Kids, you probably can only, yeah, you can only watch these on iQIYI. I don't think they're available anywhere else because
No.
when it comes to, the Light On series or their Love Sweet series, they tend to lock those into iQIYI only and air them nowhere else. So, but it's definitely worth one of those things that is always worth having iQIYI for a little while and watching everything back to back in a sense. if you want, if you don't want to subscribe to it long term. So for my next one, we are going back to Korea. And it's one that I think wasn't done justice because it was nowhere to be bloody found when it first came out. So many people were very excited for it, but we just did not have access to it. I sailed the high seas for it, let's put it that way. And that is the 2021 Korean drama One Ordinary Day. Now, this stars the brilliant Kim So Hyun, who I think this is one of his best damn roles.
Mm-hmm.
The acting in this drama is insanely good, like insanely good. I cannot emphasize that enough. And then, playing alongside him as the other male lead, we have Cha Song Woon. And this guy has been in everything and anything. He is a veteran. This man is 54 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like a 40-year-old, but he has been in so many things. He's been in, I know him best from A Korean Odyssey, where I loved him in that, but he's been in Our Blues, The Tyrant. He's been in The Greatest Love, You're All Surrounded. Like he's been everywhere and anywhere. And I just loved this drama. Not only is this drama only 8 episodes long, so it is a very fast paced. The acting is really truly superb, and the MDL description doesn't give anything much away, so I will just go off that, and it just says a drama that explores the criminal justice system from an extremely popular perspective through the fierce story of two men surrounding the murder of a woman. Hyun Soo, an ordinary college student, suddenly becomes the primary suspect in a murder case. Shin Jong Han is the only lawyer willing to help him. Kim Hyun Soo, having just barely passed law school, Shin Jong Han's involvement in Kim Hyun Soo's case eventually takes his unremarkable life to new heights. So basically, the premise is our male lead, who is played by Kim So Hyun, and it's really like because his character is Kim Hyun Soo. It's like just basically his name, but so his character basically wakes up in and next to him is a dead body. And he has no recollection whatsoever how he got there, what happened, you know, anything. And Shin Jong Han, who is played by Cha Ong Woon, kind of like takes him and like is becomes his lawyer and through this. And obviously, you know, just the fact that, you know, Kim So Hyun has to play this character where he doesn't know whether he committed the crime or not. He doesn't know what happens and he goes a little bit crazy. Like he becomes a little bit unstable to say the least. And then you just have to go through this very much this justice system, and in his case it's like all the evidence is stacking up against him and the police are sure he did it, and this lawyer is the only person who is like willing to go and bat for him. So it is a very very interesting story. I think it's very short, so it happens very very quick. It is a remake of the British TV series Criminal Justice from 2008. So that is very interesting. Again, the only problem, and I think to this day, it's still the only problem, is that this is very hard to get a hold of. If you want to
Yeah.
watch it, you have to kind of sail the high seas for it. And I don't often recommend that. I don't. I hold my hands
Mm-hmm.
up, and people will ask where can I watch it and whatnot. And I always try to recommend the official sites. I don't talk about the high seas. But for this one, I made an exception because I was like, look, this is really good. The acting is so good. And I feel so sad for the drama, for the fact that it can't be appreciated because it's not available anywhere for international viewers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's my 2 cents. But honestly, it's one of Kim So Hyun's best works. Like this is a drama that shows you why this man is one of the, if not the highest paid Korean actor because it
Right.
shows his range. It shows his range so well. I loved it. I truly did. So that is the drama One Ordinary Day that I put in. Have you watched
Mhm.
this one, Caitlin?
I have not because I don't have access to it.
Exactly. See, see, it's so
Yeah.
infuriating.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those that you have to be willing to go to the high seas to
Right.
watch it. And it's still infuriating that it's a 2021 drama and it's still not been picked up anywhere. It's like,
Right.
come on, guys. It's really, really good. Just put it somewhere because I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of people would appreciate this one. But yeah. So, what's your fourth drama?
Okay, so my fourth drama actually wasn't going to be my fourth drama until I put out my podcast episode from last week. um cuz like I watched this drama when it aired and then I like forgot about it for the
Mm.
longest time because yeah. But uh if you guys don't know, I do a podcast and my episode last week was talking about the new Yoku dramas that are coming out, and the most excited one I was excited for was Day and Night season 2.
Hmm.
And so I was like, well, I have to put Day and Night season 1 on my list. Because before the Bad Kids, I will say this with my full chest. Before the Bad Kids, this is was probably one of the best Chinese crime dramas out there.
Hmm.
It still is one of the best, but like the Bad Kids is up there now as well. But like hands down, this is one of the best Chinese crime dramas I've ever seen. Sadly, it's not on Netflix anymore in the US. So I think it's on YouTube, like the Yoku, at
Yeah.
least in the US. I think it's on Yoku, the YouTube channel. I am not positive though. But it was on Netflix for the longest time, and then they took it
Yeah.
off in like the last couple of years or something.
Yeah,
Um,
because MDL is still saying Netflix and it's also saying Yoku, so I'm guessing it is, yeah, it'll go to the YouTube channel. So in it's available, yeah, for Europe as well. It's on the Yoku YouTube channel as well.
yeah. So I'm not gonna. I said a little more about this drama in my podcast episode, but I don't want to spoil it again because like it is somewhat of a spoiler. But basically, what happens is there's this guy who is a cop, and he his brother is arrested for murder, and so he obviously being the cop and the family member of his brother cannot investigate the case, so they bring like
Mm.
an outside person to investigate it, but this outside person basically allows him to investigate this case secretly. Um so it's him, this guy, and then his brother. So I'm not going to reveal like the main thing that's like the major twist in this because that would spoil the most of like not most of it, but that would spoil a major part of the story.
Yeah.
Um, but the twists and turns of this drama and the fact like to the very end, like the end scene is like, oh my god, I cannot believe it ended like that. How are we going to wait for a season 2? And this was made in 2017 and we're just getting a season 2 now, hopefully in 2025. like it's a cliffhanger. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely a cliffhanger ending. Like I there's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's a cliffhanger ending. Like you're gonna have to figure out, like, yeah. Um, it just was like it was in that time period, and I again at that point I had not watched a ton of Chinese crime dramas. I was
Hmm.
still getting into Chinese crime dramas a lot, but this being one of the first ones I watched probably makes my praise a little higher.
Yeah.
But it's just so good and a classic one too. Um, so it stars Pang Yu Ming and Wang Lang Zhang. They're like the two main people because the brothers are twins. So Pang Yu Ming plays both of them.
Both of them.
And
Yeah.
then yeah, and then it stars like Lang Young, Yu Shi Han, among other people. And it's so unexpected and so unpredictable and just so good.
Mm. It does sound quite good. And again,
Yeah.
it's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. This
Yeah.
one is a little bit longer, 32 episodes, but I'm
Yeah.
guessing it's okay for the length. It works
Oh yeah.
out for the
Yeah.
length.
And it's not just the murder that the brother does, like they investigate other things as well. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not just like that one crime. But I mean, there's a reason why they're making a season 2 for this. And
Yeah, exactly.
it's been rumored since like 2018. So it's yeah, it's been a long time rumor and they're finally getting around to it, thank God.
Well, that's always the case. You can want a season two, but it may take forever to actually get a season
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
Um, so that is day and night. Now, for my last choice, I thought I would go with something that is a little bit different. Um, and I don't think is it the best drama out there? No, but I still really enjoyed it, and that is the 2021 drama Couple of Mirrors. Now, have you not watched this one?
I have not. I have
Really?
not.
And do you know
I
what's
know of it.
interesting? Yeah, it's really interesting because they kind of play it almost like it's a GL
Yeah.
drama. So that's why it became very, very interesting for people. But I don't think it is a very popular drama. I don't think it's a very common drama. It is
Hmm.
a Republican set drama. So that is, makes it already quite different from a lot of the others that we've mentioned in this episode. And basically, the MDL description reads Yu Yi is a young, innocent, and kind hearted socialite and a successful author, living with everyone's adoration and envy. Her perfect life is turned upside down when she discovers a betrayal by the two most trusted people in her life. With no one left to turn to, she finds refuge in the friendship and support of Yan Wei, a young photographer with a cold personality. Unbeknownst to all, Yan Wei has a deadly secret identity. So that's kind of like, the story basis for it. I can't reveal like what any
Hmm.
more than that because it will spoil it and it's not worth it. But like I said, it really does hone in on these two female characters and they are played so that Zhang Nan plays Shu Yu Yi and Sun Yi Han plays Yan Wei. So they are the two female leads, and it really does hone down on them and their story. And the thing that I could put out there is basically our female lead, so played by Zhang Nan, Shu Yu Yi, is a very famous and well-known author, and she can get people using her and that can lead to certain situations, so it's based on that sort of thing. And I really enjoyed it. I love the fact that we focus more on two women as opposed there is male leads, there is males that are, so we have Liu Ziyang, we have Zhou Dao Wei and He Fang Tian, so those three are casted as male leads, but the story really does reflect back to the two female leads. And I really liked that because that is not always the case when it comes to crime thriller. They tend to lean into more, males. And this one is also really easily accessible. It's on Viki, it's on Prime TV, and it's also on YouTube. And it's only 12 episodes. So it's a really short, easy watch. Like I said, I really liked it. This is like adapted from a GL novel. Obviously, in this aspect, they don't specifically say that, but you can see the tension and whatnot between the two women, and their chemistry is really, really good as well. So I really liked it. I liked the fact that, like I said, it's based more on the two women, even though the men are also part of, the main cast. But that's why I wanted to mention this one because I think it's a fairly unknown drama, and I, wanted to put that on my list. So that is the drama Couple of Mirrors. Um, so yeah, that's my last choice for this one. I'm surprised I managed to pop one in there that you haven't watched, Caitlin.
Well, for the longest time, we didn't have access to it. And I
No.
also, I don't think I only know of one person who was watching it as it aired, and it was like, so I didn't even know we had access to it until I came across something on Viki, I think.
Hmm.
So that's mainly like the reason why is like I didn't have access to it for a long time. I now
I
do.
think
I do need to watch it, but
I think for me, it was available straight up on YouTube. That was the only place that I could watch it. So that's why I was watching it. Like, I think I watched it on air as well. But again, yes, it was one of those that it was a little bit harder to find. At least in Europe, it was available on YouTube, so you could go watch it there. But yeah, sometimes access is just
yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, and I'm one of those people where like I pay so much for streaming sites. I'm just not going to watch anything on the high seas. I'd rather just
Yeah,
not watch it or wait. Like if I did that, if I tried and watched everything that I didn't have access to, I don't have time as it is because I watch
no.
so much stuff. Like I would never leave my house like if I
Yeah.
was doing
It
so.
will take, for me to sail the high seas, it'll take like a lot. It'll take a lot for me to
Mhm.
go and try, the high seas. For example, this is a conscious decision though. I thought when Netflix did their whole no more password sharing, I had Netflix because I was sharing it with a friend and we were going halves on it. And I was okay with that. That made it a, okay subscription to have. But it's so expensive now. And the thing is, I watch maybe five dramas out of it. Like, there's not a lot anymore on there that I'm
Mhm.
like consciously wanting to watch. So that was one of my subscriptions that I had to look really hard at and think, am I getting my money's worth? And I just thought I wasn't. So I actually ended up canceling. So if there is a Netflix show, I either do one of two things. I either sail the high seas for it, or I will like wait till it's over, subscribe, watch it, and then unsubscribe again. So, and that's like what I've been doing for a lot of subscriptions. There's only a few that I keep on me at all times, and that tends to be like iQIYI, WeTV, Yoku, because they're extremely cheap to get if you get the right sales. They're very,
Right.
very cheap to have. And then they're paid. Like my iQIYI is paid till 2026. Like I'm good with iQIYI. And then like the only one that I have that is like a monthly subscription is Vicky. And then like I do have YouTube Premium, but I only sign up for that every now and again. And the reason being is because I do my exercise classes off of YouTube, and there is
Yeah.
nothing worse than being in the middle of like an exercise class and the thing like brings up an ad, and I've lost my rhythm, and I'm like, this is
Yeah.
so frustrating.
Yeah.
So like I'll sign up for that every now and again. But yeah,
You don't realize how many ads YouTube has until you watch a YouTube that is not signed up on premium.
oh my God, it's oh my
I
God,
pay for premium as well, and I've done it for over a year now. And I randomly went to like somebody's house or something, and we were like, she wanted to show me a music video or something. There was like
so bad.
6 ads before
It's
we
so
played
bad.
I was just like, are you joking? What the hell?
The thing is, I used to have YouTube Premium for the longest time, and then I was like, I don't need it. I'm gonna cancel it. So I canceled it, and I would use it like I would watch YouTube on my laptop linked to my TV. Like I'd hook up my laptop to my TV, and I'd have an ad blocker, and that was working really well. But now, like that doesn't work anymore that well.
Right.
So I was like, look, I just have to sign up. And the thing with YouTube, I feel like it's a very expensive subscription for what it is. And I get, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you get YouTube Music and whatnot, but I don't really like YouTube Music, the
Yeah.
app.
Yeah.
I'm a Spotify person, and that doesn't go on my subscriptions list because my partner pays for that. So I smooch off his subscription. Um, but yeah, it is quite an expensive one. And I was like, look, between YouTube Premium and Netflix, which one is I get way more use out of a YouTube Premium than I do a Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the same price. And the thing is, this stuff doesn't do year like in the UK at least, you can't subscribe for a year to these platforms, which would work out slightly
Oh,
cheaper. You can only do monthly. They don't allow you a yearly subscription to these platforms,
weird.
which is, yeah,
Okay.
it's really ridiculous because I know in the States you can get a year subscription and it works out a little bit cheaper. See, I would be happy to do that, pay
Mm-hmm.
like everything up front and do a year, but they don't do that here. You only have monthly and it becomes a lot more expensive. So, because
Right.
like if I were to have YouTube Premium and Netflix, and this is like, so yes, you can get the Netflix that's like £5 in the UK with ads, but I'm like, I'm sorry, I refuse to pay for something and still have to watch it with ads. Like that
Right.
is bonkers to me. Um, so like if I were to have both of those subscriptions, it would be for like if I were to do it like at the end of the year, it would be like 250, £300 for just those two subscriptions. And I'm like, I am not comfortable
Right.
spending that on two subscriptions when I can get Aichi Yoku and like Vicky possibly even thrown in there, which is the expensive more, and WeTV for like 150 for all four subscriptions for a year. Even less than that, actually. I could probably get all four for like £100. So it's like for a year. So I'm just saying,
Right.
just
Right.
saying. Our tangent. Sorry. What was your drama, Caitlin?
So, okay, so I picked this one. Ironically, I think I only have chosen like one Korean drama. Um, but I picked this one. I think the main reason why I picked this one is one, I'm sure okay, I picked The Longest Day in Chang'an. That's what I picked.
Yeah. Yeah.
um and I know a lot of people watch this. I think mainly I picked it because I've been wanting to like do a review on it on my podcast. And also it's supposedly getting a season 2 at some point. They announced it this year at some point. Um, but I don't even think they've started filming it or anything like that.
I don't think so.
But I was late to this. I think I only watched it in 2023, 2022. Like I think I started in 2022 and finished it in 2023. It took me too long to start this, which is why I wanted to put it on the list because I was like, if you had to pick one drama, one crime drama to watch this one. It's so much more than just it's confusing as hell. I will tell you that right now because there's a lot of characters and there's a lot going on, but it is the production value on this drama is insane. Like it's
Yeah.
insane. And you could tell they did a lot of research and a lot of work on making sure this was as accurate as possible, and the story intertwined into it was just so immaculately written. It's incredible. And then on top of that, you have like an insane cast, to say the least, because it's like these should all be lead actors and they're mostly supporting actors with it. It's just like insane who they got in this drama in general. So like the two leads are Lei Ji Yin and Jackson Yi. They're like the main two leads who work
Yeah.
together. And then they have Zhao Yi Wei as a supporting role, which is
That's
insane.
crazy.
But he's amazing in it, but like it's insane he's a supporting role. Lu Fen Chen again, Reza Alamjan, who is one of my favorite characters in this. We have who else is in this? It's an insane cast. It's like we have okay, I'm gonna butcher this guy's name, but I just have to laugh because he popped up in it. Okay, he's an American actor. Like it's not even he's an American actor. I didn't even know he would show up in this thing, but he shows up for a very
Just out
well.
of
But his
nowhere.
Yeah. I'm gonna butcher it because he has an African name, but he plays a slave trader. It's Djman Husu.
Yeah.
You would recognize him if you knew him. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
an really incredible American actor, but like the fact he just popped up in here playing a slave trader in
You probably
Chang'an
were like,
is
wait, where
just
did this
like
come from?
yeah, and it's and so it's just they have like Shulu, they have like the size of this cast just tells you how many characters are involved. But it's a political I would say it's like an action political thriller. It's like it is a crime drama, but it's not really like stab crime drama. It's like
Mm-hmm.
conspiracy theory crime drama.
Yeah.
So basically it is about so Jackson Yee plays Lee B, who is like an intelligence chief person
Mm-hmm.
who works for the crown prince, and they basically hear that there's going to be an attack on Chang'an in the next 24 hours, and so he
Yeah.
recruits this criminal who used to be a general and is basically just sitting in prison. He recruits this guy played by Leiji Yin, who has 24 hours to figure out what this attack is, who is doing it, try to find them and try to stop it because they are holding this like major festival in this large city, and so the attack is supposed to happen during this festival. So it's a bunch of them running around the city trying to find these people, a lot of political talking and a lot of like people trying to suss out other people
Yeah.
because it's obviously much bigger than just an attack happening on this city. um it is just so well done, but I think the main thing that stands out with this is like the production value is insane in this drama. Like insane, they built everything, they had all the costumes made, it's just immaculately made.
Yeah,
So
I'm just
that's
looking
for
at
me,
some of
that's
the
why it
pictures
stands
and
out.
the I'm just looking at some of the pictures and the pictures alone tell you like it's expensive
Oh
looking.
yeah, yeah.
Um So it is a Yoku drama, but it seems like it's on Prime, it's on Viki, Apple
Mm-hmm.
TV apparently has it, and it's also on YouTube. So,
Yeah.
it's widely available and it's not as long as I thought it was. It's only 48 episodes of 40 minutes, but of the 40 minutes, you could probably shave another 5 minutes just for beginning and ending credits. So, realistically
Mm-hmm.
speaking, you're talking 35 minutes an episode. That I thought it was longer. That's interesting. I honestly had to thought it was longer
It
than
is
that.
a it is a drama though that you have to pay attention to. Like it's not one
Oh
of
yeah,
those
yeah,
where
yeah.
like there's so many characters and so many things going on specifically. You have to pay attention to it or you won't know
Do
what's
you,
going on.
do you know do you know what my flex is now? Look, I've watched Nirvana in Fire. I can tackle these.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, even if you're paying attention, just how the story is written, you won't know what's going on for half
Yeah,
the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Just because that's just like, okay, how is this connected to this person? Blah, 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 blah. So, but
I I
it's
know
so
I
good.
know a lot of people sometimes watch these shows and they kind of almost have to keep like a graph of who is who.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like
Mm-hmm.
I just watch and hope for the best. And like that's me, but I know like there is character maps and whatnot that you can sometimes use. But yeah, these shows, I think they are harder to get into, not specifically because they're not good shows, but it's those shows that like not everybody is going to run towards because they
Right.
are longer. You do need a lot of brain power in a sense to like, you need to be switched on to watch it. But they are definitely worth it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I found that
It
with
is
Nirvana and
definitely a
Fire.
slow burn too. Yeah, it's a slow
Yeah,
burn too, which some people don't do
yeah,
well with.
yeah. Yeah, so that was the last one. So we're just going to run through honorable mentions. And I'm not, like, for mine, anyways, I'm not going to go too much into them because I have either talked about them or if I haven't, they are very big crime thrillers. So I think there is no really a lot of need for me to go into them. So my honorable mentions are ones that I really, really enjoyed watching, but didn't make it onto my actual list because again, they're very popular. Like a lot of people have watched them, and I wanted to give some more underrated ones a little bit of time to shine. So, in no particular order, I have The Devil Judge on there. I loved The Devil Judge. I thought it was like visually done really well. The acting was fairly good, so I really like that. A huge one, Beyond Evil. I mean, it's classic Korean one. It's fairly well known. It's really well acted. The story is also very good. The next one, I mean, I have a review for this on the podcast, and I would be remiss to not mention Reset. I love Reset. Caitlin has watched it. We reviewed it together for tea and soju. So there's not really a lot of need to go into that one. If you want
Mm-hmm.
to hear us yapping about it, by all means, please go back on the feed and listen to it. We were joined by Jess and by Becky on that one. So there's a four of us talking Reset. And then the last one is one from, is it this year? I'm just going to double check. I'm pretty sure it was this year. Yeah, 2024. And that is A Shop for Killers. I really liked
Mm-hmm.
this one. The acting in it was really good. The story was like different. So I overall really, really liked it. So those are just the ones that like I wanted to mention, but there's no point going into them because there's tons of reviews out there. Lots of people have watched them. They're like the bigger named ones. So that's my honorable mentions. What about you, Caitlin?
Okay, I'm not gonna go through every single honorable mention because I have a lot. But like Stranger season 1 and 2 and Voice season 1, I named in your one of your episodes. I think we
Yeah,
did
yeah.
last year. Erased, I think I named as well in
I
your
think you did.
episode. The Victims Game season 1 and season 2, which I will be having a review on them by podcast in like October for that. Um, some of the other ones that either we have not talked about yet in this episode or other episodes. My Roommate is a Detective. That is a fun
Oh,
historical
yes.
Chinese drama. The Checkmate one after that, not so good. Do not go and watch that one. But My Roommate is a Detective is a really fun, like more lighthearted crime drama in terms of like
It's
goriness
more
and
comedic,
everything.
yeah. And it's
Yeah,
also more
yeah,
comedic, I think.
yeah, yeah. Some classic Chinese ones are Medical Examiner Dr. Qin. I mean, they have a bunch of renditions of this drama.
I mean,
um,
and keep a close eye because there might be something happening with that one. So
yeah.
I'm just just putting that one out there.
Um, Tiansa Mystic season 1, only season 1. Don't go watch season 2. Only season 1.
I like the specific only season
Yeah.
one.
I love the main actor in season 2. Just the writing was not as good, but season 1 is a fantastic one. It's a little different because it's like supernatural
Mm-hmm.
involved. There's still like crimes and stuff happening, but it's more supernatural. Um, and then I guess the last one I have a ton, but I'm not going to mention like every single one I have on this list. Actually, I'll name two more. Ancient Detective, which I'm sure a lot of people have watched. I
Mm-hmm.
think that was like a 2020 drama or something like that.
I think so.
Um, yeah. And then the last one I'll name is Oh No, Here Comes Trouble. I wouldn't say it's like the
Oh,
typical crime drama,
yeah.
but I still say it's like a thriller comedic crime drama in general.
I almost put that one on the list and I was like, I'm gonna leave it because it's good, but I don't think it's like I don't know. It is still it's more mystical in the sense.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to it, but it is still really good.
Yeah. The reason why I put it on, because like realistically, it still has the setup of a typical crime drama
Yeah.
where like they're investigating these ghosts and trying to make them move on to a better place. And that's pretty much Like it's a procedural, but using the crime is the ghost's life. It's not
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
necessarily like a crime. So that's kind of why I still put it there because the setup and the formatting is still kind of a crime
Yeah,
thriller format. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Okay. We have talked about a lot of crime thriller dramas. So you guys are sure to have a lot of recommendations. And that is it for the episode. Thank you, Caitlin, for coming on. I really enjoyed this. I'm walking away with a couple of ones that I'm going to add to my plan to watch list, I think, as well. So if you want recommendations for crime thriller, Caitlin is your go-to person. So, Caitlin, where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram, TikTok. It's pretty much where I am. I have a podcast that you can find on Spotify. Uh, but yeah, you can DM me or message me if you ever want recommendations. And I am for sure doing like podcast episodes on crime stuff all the time. So
She
you
is.
can listen to those episodes as well.
So, thank you so much for coming on, Caitlin. I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and we shall see you next time. Bye.
Bye.